You know, for someone with such an iconic main look as Samus, she sure changes it often. Not only is almost every instance of the iconic orange suit different from the last, changing the design and properties of her outfit mid-game is also a Metroid series staple at this point. So, inspired by a comment I received on a recent video, I thought, why not rank them all? The list is gonna be based on both the abilities of the suit as well as the design, with a bit more importance given to the look of the suits, as I personally think each and every one of these is pretty useful in its own way. Let's get started. Unfortunately, there must always be a loser, and for this video, that painful 11th spot goes to the PED suit from Prime 3 Corruption. This suit allows Samus to use the phazon her body has been overloaded with, and while I actually do really enjoy the hyper mode game mechanic from Prime 3, I do think it's hard to give this suit bonus points for that. After all, it never gets a moment where you find it and have a "oh wow, now I can do this, that's so useful" moment. It feels more like a necessary setup for the core mechanic of the game. Design-wise, the PED suit is not exactly Samus' coolest suit in my opinion. The colors are way too muted and flat, resulting in a bit of a drab look. It also resembles the power suit a bit too much, and what is added is some very basic technologic plates, making the whole thing feel a bit uninspired. And what also doesn't help is that this suit actually got a second chance too, as obtaining the hazard shield changes the design. Not enough for its own entry in my opinion, but I did factor it in. That said, the touch of purple is nice, but definitely not enough to save the PED suit from the last spot. Second last, or top 10, depending on how you look at it, we find the power suit, the one that you start and sometimes play the entire game in. Iconic as it may be, I believe there have over the course of the series been a little too many instances where the power suit has looked a little awkward. Other M is a pretty notoriously hated design I feel, but Metroid Prime also has a weirdly thin look for this suit. A similar thinness can be spotted on the official artwork for Zero Mission, and let's just say, I don't really dig it. I like my Samus badass in a big, powerful looking suit that matches her character. This is a tad too smooth for me. It feels like something a grunt or soldier would wear. Something that has to be mass produced instead of the extremely unique Chozo technology. Add that to the fact that this is canonically one of the weakest suits Samus has worn, and you might understand its low position. I feel like I should also probably note that I have made the decision to make Metroid Dread's version of this suit its own entry. Because the design is so distinctly different, it wouldn't make sense to consider it the same thing as what, say, Metroid Prime's version looks like. Moving on, in the 9th place, we have the Dark suit from Prime 2. Now, this one does actually have the kind of moment I mentioned earlier, because when you get it, reading it helps protect against the atmosphere of Dark Ether is a very welcome message. That said, it's not the ultimate suit when it comes to that purpose, and design-wise, I'm not a huge fan either. I find it hard to put into words why I dislike the look of the Dark suit, but something about it just doesn't feel right. Maybe it's the color, which reminds me of rust and smudge more so than darkness. Maybe it's the weird rings on the shoulder pads, which I definitely consider worse than the normal ones. Or maybe it's the steampunk old school technology kind of vibe I get from it, which is an aesthetic I've only ever liked in Skytown and never again. Either way, point being, I consider it one of the worst suits Samus has donned in her career, and don't mind it never returning. On to number 8, which is gonna be one of the most often seen suits in the series, the Gravity suit. This is where we shift from suits I dislike to suits I think are decent, but unfortunately, I don't consider the Gravity suit to be much more than that. The purple color is cool, but the design is simply a recolor of the iconic suit, so it doesn't earn too many points from that. Power-wise, the suit is definitely very useful, allowing Samus to jump higher, swim, or perform other movement-related actions. And while that definitely makes it a power-up that's always nice to collect, it's also one for which excitement has waned a bit over the course of the series. It's become such a core part of Samus' moveset that it's not super exciting anymore, but at the same time, it's also not so iconic it gets bonus points for it. So yeah, middle of the pack seems about right. At number 7 we have the other power suit, the version from Metroid Dread. Power-wise, it's exactly the same as the others, so I won't waste too many words on that and instead focus on its design, which is really cool. The colors are very nice and vibrant, a little reminiscent of what the PED suit could have been if it wasn't so muted. That said, it's still a slender look for Samus, just like the other power suits, which just isn't my favorite. So I can't put it much higher than this, I'm afraid. And speaking of slender, at number 6 we have the Zero suit, which is really just a blue jumpsuit. That means that design-wise I can't give too much credit, especially since some games have used it pretty heavily for fan service, which I feel was unnecessary and not a good call. but the Zero suit is still decently high on the list, and that has everything to do with Zero Mission. I really enjoy what this game did with this suit, of course from a gameplay perspective, but perhaps even more from a design philosophy one. While without her power suit, Samus is much more agile, can wall jump and hang on to ledges, putting her incredible Chozo-trained physical capabilities on full show. She's also armed with a Paralyzer, a small gun of which I especially like the whip functions seen in Super Smash Bros. Wouldn't mind seeing that appear in the core series at all. Anyway, the Zero suit serves as the perfect reminder of what an incredible warrior Samus really is underneath all that armor. And that's a reminder I wouldn't mind getting more often. On to the top 5 now, where we find the Fusion suit in the 5th position. As you may know, this suit is effectively a corrupted power suit, for lack of a better word, meaning it doesn't have too many special powers and has the aforementioned disc-like slender design. So you might be wondering then, why is it so high up? Well my friends, have you seen this thing? The colors are incredible. The blue and yellow is such a stark departure from the norm, but it delivers big time and is super vibrant. The pink helmet is also a nice touch, and the spikes help remind you this suit is not a man-made design, but a monstrous version of the suit. So yeah, just a killer design. Sometimes things are really just that simple. Next up is the Varia suit, coming in at number 4. This is the one. When I think of Samus, this is what I think of and what I love. Probably the most iconic of all of these, this suit is the perfect combination of powerful, intimidating, yet befitting of a hero. The color scheme is very easy on the eye and also super unique. We really shouldn't underestimate how big a part the amazing design of this suit has played in the success of the series. Shout out to the new version of Dread too, looks amazing with the white midriff and golden details. Power wise it's not the best of course, and we have all seen it more times than we can count by now, so it misses out on the top 3 based on that. But make no mistake, the Varia suit is some amazing work. Not bad for a suit whose name is a blatant mistranslation. Then we arrive at the recipient of the bronze medal, Prime 2's light suit. I told you sometimes simple things are the best. And who could have guessed a relatively simple white suit would look so incredible. I also like how, despite being somewhat simple, the suit still feels distinctly alien, as a result of being a mix of Luminov and Chozo technology, with the chest plate especially feeling very unnatural. Power wise, the suit is also elite, and the strongest in Prime 2. Where the dark suit left some gaps open, the light suit protects for 100% against the dangerous atmosphere of dark ether and even allows Samus to teleport from one energy controller to another, meaning it's always a relief to collect. The silver medal is up next, and it will be going to the Metroid suit from the recent Dread. Just look at what's on your screen right now. Need I say more? This suit looks so incredibly badass, yet also a tad unnerving, which is appropriate for the circumstances in which it is received. The green and red are a super striking color scheme, while the little details on the shoulder plates and legs help create something I would describe as insect-esque. Might not be a word, I don't care, it certainly fits the mood better than cabbage, which it also kinda reminds me of. But I'm getting off track, so let's focus on the suit's abilities, which might just make it the strongest suit in the series. Enemies die on contact with this thing, and it allows Samus to use Hyper Beam, possibly her strongest weapon from a canonical standpoint. And yet, it isn't in first place, although I must admit it was really close. But in the end, the gold medal, the number 1 spot, goes to the phazon suit from the first Metroid Prime. Once again, an absolute killer design. Chromatic chest plate, the black arms and legs, the orange-red hue, and the phazon-filled arm cannon, it all looks so incredibly cool. And what I find most impressive about this suit compared to the Metroid suit is that this one could be as awesome as it is while really just being a color swap. That takes some next level design choices right there. Props to whoever designed this over at Retro Studios. Power wise, the phazon suit can definitely run with the Metroid suit as well, protecting entirely against blue phazon, which is only capable of corrupting the entire galaxy, and allowing Samus to use the phazon beam, which uses the substance for her own good. Later in the timeline, the phazon suit would also serve as the foundation for the look of Dark Samus, which is also a stellar design, but really, that was always a guarantee, given what it was based on. So that's been my list, but I'm really curious to hear how you would rank these suits. Let me know what you consider the best and worst in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel to stay updated on all my future Metroid content. For now, thanks for watching and enjoy the rest of your day.